Here's a tax return, New York City tax return. I paid $194,000, right? Last year they were operating there. Okay. The Ground Zero Mosque will generate $0 in tax returns because it's tax-free, nonprofit. Right?
I hate that about religious institutions,
if it were for-profit, my friend, apply the same rate.
Absolutely right.
$4.7 million
Get rid
in
of the churches and synagogues and mosques, or at least tax them, let them pay their share too.
Levine,
tear up the First Amendment.
Can you believe Kobe is in favor of getting rid of all religious
First of all, I'm not sure what the Ground Zero Mosque is, since it's not a mosque, it's not a Ground Zero. It's a 13-story Islamic cultural center.
No, my friend. It's a mosque on the roof.
That has a mosque in it and has a basketball court.
How is that not a mosque?
Why don't you call it the basketball court? Why don't you call it the memorial? Because they have a memorial to victims.
The Ground Zero basketball court mosque.
No, call it the Park Street, because it's 3 blocks from Ground Zero. Call it the Park Street Memorial to victims of September 11th.
House like they were originally going to call it. You guys
what do you think? Wait, Mark. What is your definition of Ground Zero? Where does it end?
I think where the Trade Center was.
Where? What do you mean, the towers, or you
the
mean
towers?
the
whole
so
square.
What you're saying is that 7 World Trade Center was not a part of the World Trade Center.
That whole square.
Then now you're saying 3 blocks. It's right there.
Look,
7
you know
World Trade
what
Center is
also
right
3
on the
blocks
corner.
away? There's a gentleman's club, a strip club.
But
Have you protested that?
No,
Why haven't you protested that?
Isn't
that an attack on the victims who died?
Because I'm pretty sure the gentleman's club wasn't part of the group that took down the World Trade Center.
It's
Sure
these people aren't all of our Manhattan. It's hallowed ground.
Wait, they weren't Muslim extremists? They weren't Muslim extremists?
Okay, that's right. I'm part of the group that killed Christ. I'm sorry, we got pardoned for that. But we did, right? I'm a Jew.
Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing? If you were in that area where the mosque is located on that day,
where the Islamic Cultural Center is going to be, yes.
Where the mosque is right now as we speak, if you were in front of that mosque on the day of 9/11, you're either dead or you're dying of some disease due to those attacks. So please do not say that is not Ground Zero.
That's also true of the
Especially when I'm
Masjid.
walking around with Ground Zero in my lungs, as I'm sure this man is dead.
Hold on,
There's a mosque right now
Mark, hold on, go.
a block away.
Stop.
Would you close that
Stop.
one too?
I'm going to throw you in the green room. Go.
Did we close it?
The one thing I actually had not heard before was that building had never been checked for human remains. And if that's actually correct, and there's any possibility, then certainly I think it would be incumbent upon everyone, I don't think anybody object, to make sure that building is thoroughly checked for human remains. And I think that's a totally legitimate thing.
They're discovering remains today, and no one is talking about it. Okay, at Ground Zero right now, they're discovering remains, and they're not telling the media is not telling us, no one's telling us. Why? Because it's bringing back the true horror of that day.
Well,
that's why.
I can't say why people aren't saying what they're saying, but I think that the issue you raised is an issue that we all can deal with, and I think everybody would deal with it.
Look, the day was truly a horrible day. You didn't have to live in New York to feel the horror of that day. I don't live very far from the Pentagon, where a plane hit, didn't do as much damage. But you know what? 30 steps from where the plane hit the Pentagon, there is a prayer room where Muslims use that prayer room.
Perfect
and
example,
nobody complains about it.
Perfect example.
Nobody
Hold on,
complains.
guys.
There's a mosque there, and
Andy,
no one complained about it September 12th.
Andy, we spent a lot of time. Andy, go ahead. Last word, Timmy, real quick, about 10 seconds.
I still, in the end, this is very insensitive to the families, and it's really hurting them badly.
But not all families are against
it. We're going to have to leave it there. You guys are going to say thanks to Tim and Andy for joining us today. Mark, what was it like in Washington at the time?
I was in the Rayburn House office building, actually, and people were watching it on TV, and then we heard that the Pentagon had been hit, and you didn't know what was going to happen. And in fact, a lot of people just sort of ran and left the building. There was no warning, nothing. I actually got stuck in a tunnel because all the bridges were closed.
I think we all would agree if there was something there now, their whole conversations that we've had about this mosque or whatever you want to call it would be very different if by now, 9 years later.
Everyone remembers exactly where they were and what they were doing when those planes hit the tower.
It's very hard for those of us who really were affected to be objective on this issue, and it's hard to be intellectual about it. On that day, on the 105th floor, and Cantor Fitzgerald was my brother from another mother, Joe Hassan, 33 years old, a 3-month-old at home. He's gone. You know, you bring this issue up with his mom and dad and his brother and his sister, and it's just it is what that woman said. It's like putting your nose in it.
What are you wearing there, Artie?
I mean, I named my son Luca Joseph after Joseph Hassan.
Bracelet.
I wear Joe's name. It says Joseph John Hassan III, 9/11/01.
All right, let me go to my constitutional attorney here. You're not affected by this.
That is a very powerful emotion. I think every American was very powerfully affected on September 11th.
That's not true. That's not true.
I don't know of any American that wasn't. Maybe you know of one that wasn't.
That's not true. But they weren't affected the same way. My other Freddie, who moved to San Francisco, said, you know what, Arthur, on September 12th, they were back in 7-Eleven buying Slurpees when we were in the house crying.
Listen, I was in a house office building. Okay, my building could have been hit by the plane.
But let them build where they want. That's what you're saying, right?
They have a legal right.
I know they have a right.
Do it.
Well, Levine, we all do have a right. Hold on. Let's go this side. Go ahead, Mimi.
The problem now is there's such a public hubbub, so much emotion tied, there's going to be no winner because you're set up for a winner and a loser, which means there's going to be more hate engendered over this.
If the moderate Muslim community talks to the Mr. Imam to move talks him into moving it a few blocks away, who loses?
It becomes propaganda. No, it becomes more anti-American propaganda.
Right. All around the world, they'll say America made them, couldn't let them build a mosque.
That's right, and we're going to lose no matter what happens now.
Let me try this. I think the people that decided to build this here were genuinely well-intended.
Why call it Cordoba then?
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay.
They picked that name, defeat of the Spaniards in 7-11.
Cordoba is a traditional place of tolerance.
Let's not argue about 711.
You think they picked
the name.
I think the problem becomes this, and this is just a natural, I think, human emotion. Once you start being called a terrorist sympathizer, people start railing, demand you move, say you're the same people that killed us.
I'm not talking demand, Ron. I'm not talking demand. I'm saying if the Imam moves it voluntarily.
Angry.
What a great opportunity for a moderate Muslim community, the moderate Muslim community, to say, you know what, we're going to embrace you, America. We're going to move this mosque.
Maybe if you would stop calling them terrorists and start having a citizenry with torches and pitchforks out there, they might.
Moderate people will do exactly like you said, but unfortunately, the world population is not moderate.
Are you trying to say,
maybe
are you trying to say this mosque is being built by not people who are
We don't know where the
Muslims
100 million. We don't know where the 100 million. I'm saying the people who hate America.
We are encouraging them to stand right where they are.
They'll use propaganda against us.
Coming up.